Hello, Mr. Ed here, and today is March 26th, 2025, and I can pretty much safely say that I have finished splitting our hives. Man, I've been working on, me and Charlie have been working on these things for 2 weeks now, and I've still got one or two that weren't ready to be split 2 weeks ago that are probably ready to be split now. I say one or two, it's probably more like 8 or 9, and then there's probably about 15 of them that they're still in singles. They're not even going to get doubled up, or for sure I don't think I'm going to get honey off of them, but who knows. But the splits parts are almost over, and we wound up with right now we have 176 hives that are double stacked with supers, deep supers, and they'll sit out there for the next 3 weeks, and then at that point then I have to go out there, and all of the new queens, I got to check on the new queens to make sure I've got queens in those boxes. But everything is pretty much on schedule now. We're still a little bit slow, a couple of weeks behind where we should be as far as what's going on and blooming around here, but it is starting to come in now. Our blackberries, yopons, there's just a number of things that are now coming into season to bloom right now. So all this stuff is a source of nectar for our bees, which is they need it because they're just exploding as far as growing in their colonies. And so while I have a break from doing the splits, it doesn't mean there's a break from doing bee stuff, things that are necessary to do in order to keep this process going. And when we were doing all of our splits, one of the things I make sure that I do is when we split the boxes, when I separate the two brood boxes, all that bridge comb, the burr comb, however you want to call it, all that stuff I collect, because it is surprising how much. Well, that is an interesting looking branch. Let me show you this. Look at this. Just some mushrooms, mold. Look at that on this log. That caught my eye. Pretty interesting stuff. Oh, look at that. Alright, let's head it back to the honey house. That was just pretty cool. But like I was saying, it's surprising how much wax these bees build between the bottom super and the top super. And it's just silly just to scrape it off and just throw it on the ground. It's just silly. And so the more hives that you have, well, the more you're going to collect, right? If you have 1 hive, 2 hives, 5 hives, you may not get a lot off of it. But in the case of what we did, 176, well, so it's actually half of that, so it's 180, so it's 90, about 90 colonies that we split. So it's 90 hives that you're going through, scraping all that comb off. And at the end of the day, I would collect it, and then I would put it in a bag, and then that bag would then go in the freezer. And it has to go in the freezer because there's a lot of live drone brood that's in there, and I don't want the smell and all. So I put it in the bag, and then I put that bag in the freezer. So we're going to get inside of the honey house right now, and I'm going to show you that bag that's in the freezer, and then we're going to head over to the kettle room right next door, and we're going to start rendering down this beeswax. Now also, I'm going to also be rendering some of the smaller blocks of wax that I've done over the last couple of months that I want to do the second rendering of it. They're not big. They might only be an inch, 3/4 of an inch thick, but they need to get second rendering. We can get all that stuff done, and at the end of it, we'll, by the grace of God, we're going to have a nice chunk of wax. Actually, we're going to have 2 blocks because I'm going to keep the bridge comb wax separate from the rendering of that second rendering. So let's get inside. I'm going to show you what the bag of wax that I've collected looks like. Now, I tell you, yeah, the honey house is definitely in upheaval right now. It's a mess. I've been doing everything except trying to clean up. But this is the little freezer that I use, and I think every beekeeper should have a freezer. And the reason being, these honey supers right here, and all these, as you can see, is honey and all this. All of these, when I brought these in, these were dead outs from doing our splits, and there's 3 boxes, full boxes of honey in there. And what I do is, when I come in, I put the frames inside of the freezer because I want to kill any stuff that's on those frames. But look, here is our bag. Now I gotta set the camera down because it's too heavy. I can't even lift it out of there. Hold on. And here is the bag of that is a lot of bridge comb, and that's all that's in here. Now, here, I'm not going to show you what's in here right now. We're going to do that when I get in the kettle. But let me show you what I do with the frames of honey that I told you about that I stick into the freezer. Let me show you how I do that. Now, this is a tiny little freezer, but still, I mean, I can get 12 frames of honey in here, and so these are now all done. I'm not worried about anything being alive. Particularly, it's really the hive beetles, because the wax moth, they're not even present yet. But any hive beetles, they're dead now, or the larvae. So all this, I'll pull this stuff out this afternoon, actually sometime today while I'm working in here. I'll pull all that stuff out and start letting it thaw out. But all of this honey now has been through the freezing process. But let's get back over to the wax. So we're going to take this wax right now and let's head over to the kettle run. All right, brought the bag there, but before I can do anything, I've got to clean up the kettle. And all of this stuff that's in here, oh, look at that, it all came out one clump. I can just go dump this right on the compost pile. I won't even have to clean it up. So I'm gonna grab this thing, go throw it on the compost pile, and then I'll get back and start cleaning this up just a little bit. That would be really cool to get it up in one block. Usually I have to break it up. I don't think I'm gonna get it all in one block, but let's find out. I'll get a lot though. Yeah. That'll make things go a lot easier. All right, let me go throw this out on the pile. Now that did not take long. So all I got to do now, I don't have to clean this up really, really good, but I do need to clean it up somewhat because I want to kind of not get all the dirt that's in here back in the wax. So I'm just going to collect this thing up, scrape it down, and then after I do that, I'll show you what the kettle looks like as we're getting ready to make our next batch. And that's all I have to do. That's cleaned up good enough for what I'm doing right here, because it's going to be a dirty mess. So this is fine. I don't have to have it spotless. like when I do the second renderings, the next batch. So what I'm going to do right now is I have to get in this throat right here. I like to take a screen, curl the screen up, and shove it inside of this hole so that all the trash that's outside of here will stay outside here, because this blocks it. The screen that's inside this throat right here will block it. And let me show you how I do that. So what I use, just a little piece of 1/8" hardware cloth. And I've used this thing probably a dozen times already. It's got my folds in it already. And I simply will curl it so that the diameter of that inside is going to be able to fit inside of my throat of the kettle. And then once I get it right, let me check to make sure it's right. So it fits inside of there. Once I get that size correct, I just take the other end and I fold it over. And I try to get the seam as well as this part on the bottom, because that way it's going to it's not going to get hung up. Trash isn't going to get hung up on it. So with this screen made up, I simply shove it inside of the throat. And I put it in there really tight because I don't want the stuff to seep around it. And with that in place, I can put my water in here now. Let me show you what it looks like prior to the water going. This is what it looks like with our screen in place inside of the throat. And I have found that this method of putting the screen in the throat and then just letting all the trash stay behind in here, then I remove the screen after most of the wax is out and let the rest of the liquid and wax percolate down and out. It is the most efficient way of getting as much wax out of that junk as possible. So now everything is set up. You can hear the kettle, it's already turned on. So I'm going to put probably about 3 gallons of water in here, and I'll show you what that looks like after it's done. These buckets are heavier, I'm just weak. So it's about 3 gallons, 2.5 gallons of water in here. And what the water does is it creates a layer of separation that all the trash, the dirt, the debris, all of that can settle through it, especially once it goes into the bucket. That the water, as it fills up, because it comes out of the spigot first because it's lighter than wax, it will fill up the bucket, and then as the wax comes out, any of the particles that are inside of the wax, the heavy particles, dirt, it will go through the wax and then through the water. It will either gather up on the bottom of the block of wax, or if it's very heavy, it'll just float all the way down. And so that water layer gives it a separation. So I've got about 3 gallons of water in here. I'll show you what it looks like because we're fixing to dump some burr comb into it. And now our setup is all ready. It's so simple doing this stuff. And look, you can see down the bottom right here, look at this. This is a layer of a little bit of wax from the last rendering that I did that was on the bottom. But it'll all get through there. It'll become wax. So now the fun part, let's go ahead and dump our bridge comb into this. And it's real cold, the water's real cold. It's going to take a while for this to build up heat to start melting, but it will. So let's drop this, all that wax that's in that bag, let's drop it into the kettle. Alright, here we go. me show you what I got here. There you go. Goodness sakes alive. That is a bunch of comb. And you can see all those little white specks. Those are all drone larvae. All that's drone larvae. So all it's going to take now is a little bit of time for this stuff to melt down. And don't worry. In fact, I'm going to close the lid on this and get this started, and then I'm going to show you what I got to get doing. We're going to check back on this thing. Let's give it about 40 minutes. And now let's go outside into the peacock pen and show you what I'm doing out there. Now for those who have been following along, the peacock pen is basically empty. This was completely full. All of our drawn comb boxes were over here. All of our inner covers, telescoping covers and bottom boards right here, all in sets. This is all my screen boards from doing splits, our last round of splits. And this area is now all basically cleaned out. Now those boxes in that area right here, all these boxes right here, these contain frames that need to get re-waxed. So it's foundation, but it's last year's foundation, and it has to get re-waxed. And so all of these boxes, which is why I'm rendering wax right now, all these boxes have frames in them, and I will be using the wax from this rendering right here to start re-waxing all of these frames in here. But for right now, what I'm doing is all of these boxes, and you can see these are just old brood boxes right here, and I need to go through all of these, separating them out, and the ones that I can use, and I can use a lot of these, that they will then be going into my swarm traps. So I'm getting ready for swarm season. We've already caught 4 of them, but we need to get this equipment ready so that we can start baiting our traps. So I'm not going to show what I'm going to be doing today on this part of it, because that'll be another video. But when I get all this stuff done, I will show you what I wound up with. And this is just work while the wax is rendering down. Alright, so we're going to check back with the wax in a little bit. Oh my goodness. Been 35 minutes and it's done. Let me turn this off and open this up to see what we got. Oh, yeah, we got us some boiling wax in there. Alright, looks like I got to stir it up a little bit and try to break it down a little bit more. So let me go ahead and do that. Now, because these pieces of comb still haven't completely melted, I just take my stick in here and swirl it around, and that wax is so hot that this little bit that was not melted down, it's going to turn into liquid in just a few minutes. And as you can see, any big chunks have practically disappeared now. Just keep stirring it until it pretty much all disappears. And that ought to get it. Let's go ahead and open up our spigot. Let this wax start draining out. Here is what we are looking at now. And as you can see, well, you can't see. Let me clear it up a little bit. Just can't put the camera right in there. So as you can see at this point, we still have a lot of liquid, a lot of wax in the kettle. And I just have to let this thing drain. It's going to drain probably for about a half an hour more, at which point I'll be able to start pushing that junk up towards this end of the kettle because the inside of the kettle is angled, and the wax will then be able to seep out of it down to the bottom and then eventually out of the throat. So it's coming along. We're still a ways away, and I'll keep the screen down here until I remove that inner screen right there, just to catch any of the trash from getting inside of our wax. I just want to point out that at this point, all that's coming out of that kettle right now is wax. All the water's already come out. So you can see we're getting a nice, we're going to have a nice block of wax in here for sure. Alright. We'll check back in a bit. It's been almost 2 hours now since I last been here. Had a couple of people show up. Good Time Charlie's here. Shawi is here. And had some people from Shreveport come to pick up their bees. But this is now what we're looking like inside of the kettle. And what I'm going to do now is push all this stuff up, because now a lot of the liquid is, most of it is out, but there's still a lot in there. I'm going to push all this stuff up and let it drain down a little bit more. And you can see this stuff is still wet with wax, but with me pushing it up to the top of the kettle, any of the liquid in here, the wax that's in here, and because the kettle is still hot, it'll keep that wax in the liquid state and it will just run on down. But it's pretty good. This is really good. So at this point, I have to put my screen back into my bucket because I have to take this out and I don't want any of the trash to fall into my wax. So I got my screen over the wax, and now we're going to take this plug out. And that's going to allow the wax to flow pretty freely. as you can see it's doing, if I'm not blocking it. So this is a good way. I like to use some of that 1/8" cloth and clean all of this stuff out. Now I'll clean this out. Make sure there's no dirt in here. And I'm going to remove my screen from the bucket. And this wax is just going to be able to flow right on out into our bucket. And then all this other stuff will just start flowing down. You can see it moving pretty good right now. Alright, we're getting ready to go to lunch. That's right, Charlie, me, and Shawi going to the Mexican restaurant. And by the time I get back, this stuff ought to be dry enough where I can get my second batch in, hopefully. We'll see. I don't know if we have a good lunch. We may not be coming back to work. So we'll see you later. Alright, lunch is over. Been about an hour and a half. We had a good lunch. Charlie ate good, so you're all happy to hear that. Here's what we're looking at in our bucket. We still got a little bit of wax dripping down, and here's what we're looking at inside of our kettle. Really good. So I'm going to clean all of this up, push that out, and clean this up, and we are going to get our next batch going. Looking really good. Now I've got to clean all this up really good. But before I clean this up really good, I'm going to turn the burner back on because I want the kettle to be warmed up. It cleans up so much nicer. Turn it on, and then all this that we pulled out of here, I'm going to feed this to the chickens because there's so many larvae in there. The chickens can eat all that stuff. And they'll pick all through that. So let me go feed this to the chickens. Yeah, chick, 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 chick. Come on. Chick, 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 chick. Come on. Come on, chick, chick, chick. Come on, chick, chick, chick. The cleanup is really easy once the kettle is warmed up, and it still is warm. And all I have to do is I put about a gallon of water in there. I'll let that stuff come to a boil, probably take about 20 minutes. And then I just have to swish the water around. All that dirt, all that nasty stuff, all that's going to come off of there, drain it out, and this kettle will be ready to go for our second rendering of our next wax. Alright. Let's check to see if it's ready. I see some steam coming out of it, so it might be. It's probably hot enough. Okay, it's already boiling. So what I do, I just use this old wire brush right here, and with this hot water, all I do is just clean up this dirt. With the hot water, oh my goodness, it just pushes it right off the edges of the tank, and it's all going to come down here where we'll drain it out, and then finish wiping the tank down, because we do want it really, really clean for our second rendering. Alright, all of our big stuff is off. I can drain the water now, and then I'll get my towel and we'll clean up the rest. With our water gone, now it's just a matter of taking a rag and cleaning up the remaining stuff. And that's good enough. So I'm going to put about a gallon of water in there, and we're going to start the next batch. Our water's in there. Now let me show you what what wax we're going to put in there. And here are the pieces that are going to be going in there. It's all wax that has been rendered. Still, it needs to get rendered again. You can see there's a lot of dirt on this one still. This one looks pretty clean. Yeah. Pretty clean on that side. Pretty clean on that side. Pretty clean on that side. And then we have lots of little chips and pieces. And then we also have this stuff right over here. I remember these were just cappings that I used the solar melter to melt these. But these are all going to get rendered one more time. Alright, let's put all that stuff in the kettle. That water is already starting to boil. Isn't it a nice box? And here, alright. I don't think it's going to take long for it to melt. In fact, I can see it's already melting right at this area right here. Here too. It's not going to take long. Look at down here. It's already melting right here. So, I don't know. I'll check back in 10 minutes. It might even be finished. It's been 10 minutes. Don't know if it's going to be ready. But let's find out. Oh, I bet it is. I mean, it looks ready. But I got to put a stick in there to... I'm going to turn that fire off for sure. Put a stick in there to see if we got any lumps of wax. It doesn't look like it. Oh my goodness. That almost looks like a cheese pizza. Oh yeah, there's nothing in there. It's done. So all I have to do is put my strainer on my bucket and open up the valve and let her rip. And now you can see why I put the strainer over that wax, because all of these chunks, this dirt, this debris, would have been in that wax, but we caught it with our strainer. Alright, just about ready to shut it down for today. I'll show you what we got. I know you're just excited as me to be able to see just how much wax we got today out of all this rendering between this bucket and that bucket. But for the big reveal, we're gonna have to come back tomorrow and show it. So I'll see y'all in the morning. It's always gets me excited to think, man, we're gonna get a 5 or 6 or 8 pound block of wax out of there. So we are going to find out right now. But first I gotta show you what the wax looks like in the bucket. Dried. Now this is the first bucket that we did. This was all the bridge comb, burr comb right there. And then this bucket right here. Oh, look how pretty that is. Ooh-wee. Let's take these 2 buckets outside and we are going to dump them out and find out just exactly how much wax we got in them. All right, let's dump our first bucket with all of our bridge comb in it. Let me scrape this off. Just a little bit of dirt on the bottom of it. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at this block of wax. Man, oh man. That is gorgeous. Woo! I don't know. That's got to be 6 or 7 pounds for sure. All right, let's do the second one. This one should come out a lot easier. And this one was all those blocks of wax. Oh yeah, it came out real easy. Oh. Let me clean off. Let me clean off this stuff. This is all the other sediment that is in there, and it doesn't settle to the bottom of the water, but collects on the bottom of the block of wax. Man, this is a beautiful block of wax. Look at this. Look at this bad boy. Look at that. This thing's got to be 10 pounds. Got to be. I'm going to weigh them, and then I'm going to tell you how much all this stuff is. Beautiful, beautiful. Here we go for the official weigh-in. And this block right here was the bridge comb, the burr comb. And let's see what that one weighs out at. Oh my, way more than I thought. 10, 11, 12, 13, a little better than 14 pounds. A little better than 14 pounds for this one. Man, that's 14. This has got to be 20. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 13 pounds, because here's 15. And that's saying a little over 20, so that's 20 and 13, that's 33. Let's see if that's right. 31, 32. 33. Somewhere around 33 and 34 pounds of wax. So folks, save your bridge comb. It's a lot of wax. All right, let's wrap this video up. 33 pounds. Thank you, Jesus. Woo! I figured that since I got more work to do out here after I close out this video, I may as well just stay out here. So we're going to close out this video right here in the peacock pen. And I'm telling you, I'm really ecstatic about what the amount of wax that came from the bridge comb, as well as the blocks and all the other stuff that I had. And the next video that I post, hopefully it's going to be the next video, I'm planning on it. Next video I'm going to post, I'm going to be showing exactly what I am going to use this wax for. And I'll give you a hint. It's got to do with something with all those boxes back there. Just a little something to do with it. But this video is man, I'm just ecstatic about the amount of wax. And it's so beautiful. It smells so good. I can't believe that the bees aren't even around here right now, but they're not. But before I go, I'd like to throw out a few names, do a shout out, some shout outs. Now, most of y'all know that I do have the membership on my YouTube channel. That is, you can become a member of my channel, and it's not like you get a lot of perks for being a member, but you do get a few extra ones. You get, for instance, you get your name shouted out when you become a new member. The other one is that because I post my videos on Fridays, every Friday I post my video for everybody to watch. But as members, you all will be able to watch the videos. Generally it's on Monday or Tuesday morning. So a few days before everybody else gets to watch it, you'll be able to watch it. And finally, the third thing is that I try to, once a month, do a members-only video so that only members will be able to see that. So those are 3 perks that you get for being a member. And what is the cost of being a member? It's $4.99 a month. Now, it is not necessary, and don't feel bad because you're not a member. It's not necessary to be a member. I still post all my videos that everybody is able to watch. And I truly appreciate all the subscribers because, golly, I'm at over 151,000 now. So thank you all very much, to all of you all. That's so humbling to have such a large number of subscribers to the channel. And I truly appreciate every one of you, subscribers, members, viewers, everything. Everybody that takes the time to watch my videos, to leave a comment on my videos, I truly, truly appreciate it. As well as for all those people that, besides leaving a comment, they give me their blessings as well. So that's really awesome. So let me give you the names of the 5 most recent members to my channel. The first one is Dan Collins. The second one is Reptile Moms. That's a good one. The third one, Lance Childress. Fourth, Peter Surgenor. I know I messed that up. Sorry, Peter. Surgenor. That's it. Surgenor. Peter Surgenor. And then the 5th one is James C. Anderson. Thank you all for becoming members of my channel, and I hope that you will feel like you're getting your money's worth. for doing it. But I surely do, truly appreciate all that everybody does for me and for my channel. So that's all I got for you in this one. So thanks for watching. Keep on watching, and I will be making more. God bless. Mr. Ed, I'm out of here until the next video. Darn, that's heavy.